woulda. This is part 5 of the Twitter bully series, and I was hoping it would end at the last part, but you know what? This dude has chose to deliberately, after bullying somebody, he was going to go and delete all of his actions so he can continue playing the victim card, an innocent role. So nobody can find everything he's done and just assume, take it off his word, that he's being targeted for no reason. Which, sorry pal, just like you, where this all started, you were going to screen somebody's name and take it out of context and add your own little toxic spin-off to it, playing a victim role, your own little twisted spin-off of a scenario that never really happened the way you say it went down for your fan base, so they could all target somebody. Yeah. Just like you, I've screenshotted and recorded in order the way things happened. It's in a PDF file. That PDF file, there's no way that's getting taken down. And people are going to see what actually happened. All leading up, everything that you have made, all leading up to the point where you deleted it. Okay, so what bullies, I guess, don't understand is once it's on the internet, it stays on the internet type scenario, because that's the case here. So, let's break it down for you guys. We all know as blah blah blah, I'm at a Dragon Ball Z fan base, but what I would like to bring up is, because since I'm going to make it this for the part 5, I'm going to go ahead and mention something I haven't mentioned. One of his statements, he chose to, when I made my post, he chose to come and be rude by correcting someone's grammar. Now, I'd like to note he does have shitty grammar, so that's a psychotic trait of you feel crappy about your own grammar, so you put others down to make yourself feel better. Okay? That's a psychotic trait of that. It's how you would be a psychopath of that, okay? If you went into a therapist and said I was putting this dude down for his grammar and he targeted me for no reason, and the therapist was able to find you have shitty grammar, you'd be like, so let me get this straight. You have bad grammar, so you go and put others down for your bad grammar. I guess it makes you feel better about yourself, about your current shitty grammar, and you'd mostly have, well, yeah, I guess that is the case. So, he chose to be rude to me and correct my grammar. And out of his being rudeness, Newton's third law of karma was returned to him, and I responded with something. Now, what I said was not in any way meant to be rude, but he took it rudely, because he already was rude himself, so he believes the response he's getting is going to be rude. Okay? Because me, I was just replying to the typical thousands of replies I get with a reply. Okay? So, because you're already coming across hostile, you expect a hostile response as that type of person. So, even though there's no emotion or expression behind a text, it's only the way someone perceives it. The person who perceives it as hostile has most likely already been hostile, so they're expecting that type of response. And the person who's friendly is usually respecting a friendly type response back. Okay? Unless there's some type of context that proves otherwise. Now, grammar trolling is rudeness, okay? Whether you guys want to believe it or not, only people that don't believe grammar trolling is rudeness or correcting somebody's grammar is usually the teachers getting paid $75,000 a year to do it as a profession. Not the people who just, oh, I got nothing better to do with my day but go through millions of posts and pick this specific one to correct somebody's grammar out of the millions of posts you've probably already scrolled past with shitty grammar, including your own. So, in his initial post, where he screenshots the context of my thing just because it has a Dragon Ball name that I use for my name as a Dragon Ball fan and a Dragon Ball photo, he words it like this: in my next up-and-coming project, if this is how the Dragon Ball community is, fucking idiots, where they want to be rude to people. You just called someone a fucking idiot. But I would like to point out, notice how he didn't say, if this is how somebody on the Twitter community is. And he also had a Dragon Ball photo, by the way. So he's part of that community of Dragon Ball. But no. Not if this is how this user is. Not if this is how this Twitter user is. He said Dragon Ball community. As if I speak for the entire Dragon Ball community. And that simple act of someone saying Dragon Ball community, following with I want nothing to do with the Dragon Ball community. Buddy, you didn't just target me. You chose... At that moment, you wanted to be that guy who wants to target not one person, but an entire Dragon Ball Z fan base. Now, I'm pretty sure that a Dragon Ball Z community is bigger than a personal one, so you probably pissed off a lot of people at that point in time. Okay? Because all your friends that read over the entire post from beginning to end, when I uploaded it, came over and said, remove your post about my friend. You trying to get him canceled. Well, guess what? All I did was post something of an entire text with you in it, just like you posted something of a text with just me in it. Not both me and you in it. And I let people make judgments. And if they believe that you can get canceled for your actions because I uploaded them, then they most likely believe your said actions were not innocent and you were actually doing something wrong in actions. So, in a way, they may be supporting you because they don't want hate from you like you directed towards me and an entire Dragon Ball Z community, which I would advise you, when you're pissed off at someone, a single individual, I wouldn't try to pin it on an entire community, because you're going to get backlash from that entire community. Okay? And this video I will tag in the Dragon Ball Z community, since you wanted to target a whole community, not just me. We could have kept it between me and you, dude. We could have kept it civil, but you wanted to target a Dragon Ball community, saying I speak on their behalf. So hey guys, over in the Dragon Ball Z community, I'm tagging this in. I'm going to ask you guys a question. He says I speak on your behalf because I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I must speak on the behalf of every other Dragon Ball Z fan. Kind of ironic, I guess. Trump speaks on behalf of every U.S. citizen, even the ones that don't like him. You guys see the ironic. But because I'm a Dragon Ball fan, he says I speak on behalf of the entire Dragon Ball community, so he wants nothing to do with the Dragon Ball community, when I never made that claim. So, at this point, shouldn't I speak on behalf of the entire Dragon Ball community and say he probably shouldn't be running other fans' names through his mouth over his beef with one person? Yes, so at this point, I'm going to do like he asked. At this point, I do speak for the entire Dragon Ball community when I say this. Keep your mouth and them out of your mouth, okay? Because you know what? As a single fan, you wanna target me? Guess what? That's all cool and peachy. But you want to target an entire fan base. Well, you know what? As a fan of that series that those other fans are a fan of, I have the right to say, you probably shouldn't run similar fans like me through the mud, okay? Because see, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen in that scenario. You chose to judge an entire fan base. So now, guys, this is how that would play out, because he chose to label an entire fan base like one person. Well, I guess now, not only am I going to get the targeted hate based on his lie, all of you would get targeted hate. So now everybody that's one of his fans, when they see somebody who enjoys Dragon Ball, they're going to target that person based off the actions of one. And not just the actions of one based on what they actually did, but based on a twisted scenario that it made it seem like that's what they did, okay? Which isn't even really what they did. So now we're going to go into further context, okay? In a court of law, okay, in a court of law, we're going to use a hypothetical example. In a court of law, if somebody were to come up to you, now let's say you're registered to carry a firearm, it's in its holster, yeah, you have no intent to use it that day, and somebody comes up to you and shoots you, okay? And you fall over and die. That person would be charged with murder, right, in the court of law? Correct. Now, let's say that scenario played out a little different. They came up to shoot you, they missed a fatal shot, and in an air of missing that fatal shot to kill you, you drew your firearm and fired back a single shot, and your single shot wound up being fatal to them, and they died. And in the court of law, would you be charged with murder? Or would you be charged with self-defense, and it would just be karma to that person who tried to kill you? In a court of law, you would be charged with self-defense, which isn't even really a charge at that point. You were just defending your life. And it's just karma to the person that now they are dead because they tried to kill somebody. Just like if somebody tried to rob a bank, karma if they get shot. That's on them. That's what the judge is going to say. You shouldn't have been robbing a bank. So, this dude chose to be rude to someone. His karma, Newton's third law, as he got rudeness back. He then chose to take shit out of context and screenshot something and put his twisted, toxic narrative in it so his fan base would believe him because they're his fans, so they're automatically going to take his word for it. They're not going to go look into the original post where he hasn't put any links to, so they'll have to scroll through all of Twitter on that dude's replies and shit to find that shit. No, they're just going to take his word on it for his fan base and act off that hatefully towards that person. And an entire Dragon Ball community because he says that person speaks for him. So now, he's engaged in a targeted hate community. And, I'm not a fan of one or the other. I follow Dragon Ball. I'm a fan of Akira Toriyama. I don't give two shits if it's a Japan voice actor voicing it, if it's a U.S. voice actor, if it's a I'll watch the series. I don't care what fucking language it's in, or hell, if it's a fucking manga. I've followed it since 1984. When it first began, okay? So, with that being said, the last subject that I saw go viral on toxic Twitter in relations to Dragon Ball, and I don't really care about the facts in this scenario, was a VA I've never heard of, Vic Magola, being labeled a pedophile, even though, and a sex offender, even though he's not on the sex offender registry.gov website and a name search. Now, we all know that's a site proven for people who have actually been criminally labeled as one. But until you're criminally labeled as one, technically we live in a country, or at least I do, that's innocent until proven guilty, okay? So if you just say somebody isn't, they haven't been proven guilty, it's just slandering, okay? So, and you can agree with that or not. But I hear this dude, Vic Mangolian, and he's labeled this. Never heard of him prior to that. That VA actor who apparently is Broily. And then I also start hearing of Sheen and Monica and all them, which I have never heard of prior. In fact, I had never heard of any of the VAs that voiced the U.S. Dragon Ball prior to this. So, if in a way, they only made him famous and made themselves famous, okay? They made themselves famous for being a dick to a single person. Because instead of choosing to keep their shit private and civil, you chose to make it public to all. So now they can target a person until you actually had an actual result if he's labeled that or not, which led to defamation. He lost his job there, but he's still got a bigger fan base than them at this point in time, so they just keep the lawsuit going to take more money from him. But I digress. The way it all went about is they made a hashtag called I'll break that. Mars Girl. Mars Girl made a hashtag called hashtag #KickVic. Now, that is a targeted hate hashtag. You guys can say it's not, but it was a hashtag created to get as much hate directed towards a single user by multiple. That is the definition of targeted hate. Okay? So she's the founder of a targeted hate hashtag. Okay? With intent to get the targeted hate. So when somebody chooses to create my brand name as an take a caption out of context and put their twisted toxic spin-off on it to make me out to be a bad guy when that's not how it went down, had they actually put the whole entire context from beginning to end of everything said from both parties, it wouldn't, their toxic spin-off would actually look like they're lying to their fan base. You are attempting to create a targeted hate, form a hashtag using my name and your fan base. And the reason it's labeled that is because 40 of your fans acted on your behalf. Okay? They acted on your behalf. But I digress. This person then went over onto the YouTube where I'm telling the full story, which I am entitled to give the full story because in a court of law, if lawyers were to view this, since you want to claim you're a bully, you're being bullied and a victim, most likely, people will get involved and somebody might offer you a free lawyer to defend your case and criminal charges might be brought up for defamation or shit like that because you're probably a public figure. Well, I've already been labeled a public figure. If you go to a website, it says I am a public figure. In fact, I'll give you guys that website right now. If you go over to, it is called, give me guys 1 sec. I apologize for this. The website is called Nox Influencer. If you go over there right now, I am labeled as a social media influencer on this site. This isn't a site I created. In fact, this isn't even a site I signed up on. But when you search my social media tag, because I've used it across multiple platforms, the first 6 results of Google is nothing but my name. Every single website is my name that I've used on some multiple websites. There's at least 32 different websites I use my brand name on. And it literally labels me as a social media influencer. And this is like it's Nox Influencer, so it'll display shit like your channel stats, your trends data, your hottest videos, your global growth, average views and shit like this. This was some website somebody created that automatically pulls shit from YouTube and other websites. Now, the shit that's pulled from my YouTube on Nox Influencer, where it's labeled me a social media influencer, if you check similar and related YouTubes, this isn't even things I get to pick. It's picked things that it feels are channels that it is also pulled, that it feels are similar to the content I load. And these are some of the channels that it feels are similar YouTubers to me, and I'm not even this big of a YouTuber. But we got Ali A, but he's got 17.2 million subscriptions. We also got PewDiePie on there. Great YouTuber. We got FaZe Clan. We got Markiplier. And then we got a few that I don't even recognize. Luchin, Borum, Tube Vlogs, and we got C-Day. But some big names are similar to me. Okay, so that's saying I've got to be a pretty good, decent social media influencer like it's labeled to me. Don't label me along with names of FaZe Clan and PewDiePie and Markiplier. Okay, so when you at my name and take a toxic spin-off with lies to run my name through the mud with just a cropped screenshot taken out of context, I am entitled to defend myself. Now, where you messed up is you chose to take it out of context, okay? So if somebody does that to you, that you've done it to, so that they have the right to. You chose to get, not just me, you chose to get an entire Dragon Ball community involved in this, because you chose to call out an entire Dragon Ball community instead of just calling out me when you said, if this is how the Dragon Ball community is, not this Twitter user. So that's where you messed up the second time. Now, where you messed up the third time is as the dude who claimed he was targeted for no reason. He was talked down to for no reason while you literally called an entire Dragon Ball Z community. Because you said Dragon Ball, fucking idiots and Dragon Ball... if this is how the Dragon Ball Z community is, fucking idiots. So you called every one of us a fucking idiot in that statement. Okay? And then you went on to play that you were insulted after that. You just insulted somebody and then tried to play a victim card for being insulted. It don't work that way, pal. You have to be innocent to play a victim card. So you already threw yourself off right there. But this is where it got worse for him, okay? He goes over to my YouTube on a whole nother name of a YouTube channel and says that I came on one of his posts that wasn't directed towards me. Now all the posts that I targeted on Twitter were actually adding me. It says I targeted them for no reason, and then it goes on to say 1, they're female, 2, blah blah blah, 3, blah blah, 4, blah blah blah, and the female is what I paid focus on, but the 2 was something like they did not at me at all or was not directed towards me, so automatically I was going to be on assumption this is somebody else. So I went back to Twitter to see, did I actually talk to anybody that did not at me, which I did not. So I go back to that YouTube, and I'm like checking out their channels, and I go over to their about. And luckily enough, there's a Facebook link. So let's go ahead and see if any of their information is accurate, since I can't verify what Twitter user they are. So I clicked at Facebook, and it immediately loads me up to a Facebook name that is male. Okay? And I believe it was John something. Now, the YouTuber claims to be female, but they have a male Facebook link, so automatically it seems like they're lying. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to check out their first Facebook post, the most recent one that's public. And it's, this is somebody I corrected their grammar one time and they're targeting me and shit like that, making up lies, trying to get me canceled. Which is identical to the Twitter user I was actually speaking to's post on Twitter. So it's the same person claiming they're female that has a male Facebook that is the Twitter user. So you're a male, and now you claim female, where somebody can't figure out your gender, but you can because you linked your Facebook. So you're a compulsive liar. You're a bully for bullying somebody, and you're a manipulative person because you chose to manipulate your fan base by creating up a lie to make them think somebody's targeting you for no reason. So you chose to manipulate your own fan base. And you're a person who tries to run a targeted hate group at that point. Which doesn't make you look like a very good person at all. And if anything, if you got canceled based on me posting a beginning to end from both parties' actions in order, and it wasn't screenshots one by one, so they could be like, well, maybe those are out of order. No, I literally recorded the screen as I scrolled from top to bottom. So nothing's been taken out of order, and they can see that. They can see I didn't edit shit in any way to make myself look good or look bad. And they can make an opinion. Now, hell, their opinion may be, oh, well, we still think you're an asshole and a bad guy. But at least with my post, if they still want to think I'm an asshole and a bad guy, their opinion was based on both parties' actions and how I handled that, and not just because some dude said I targeted him for no reason, which is a lie, and a manipulative story, okay? I would rather somebody judge me off my actions than off of actions I didn't do. Just like your fans probably should judge you off your actions instead of the cover story fake person you choose to be. Now, when I went over to his Facebook, I chose at that point, that's when the PDF was going to be created with everything that's been said, because at this point I've decided he's a person that's probably going to delete his actions later. So I started screenshotting, making the videos, and I started uploading it to a PDF because I know he's probably just going to report what I did, acting like his shit's innocent. And I'm going to upload it to a PDF, a Google Drive, and that shit's going to be added to each video. You can get the shit taken down, but there's the backup of everything. And I copied the link to his Facebook post in it, and I put that in there. And what I chose to do is I sent his Facebook a Facebook Messenger, okay, keyword Facebook Messenger. It's a messenger application. You don't need their phone number, you don't need their email to send that, okay? And I sent a message and I said, you really are a compulsive liar. That was message 1. Message 2 I sent was the link to his post on Facebook. 3, the Google Drive. And then there was a 4th one, which was a period, because what I did after the first two posts is I muted messages, and then I chose to add to it, so I had to reactivate it, so I sent the period, so I could make sure it was an open chat, and I sent the 4th one, and then I blocked Messenger, because I wanted him, I didn't block him on Facebook, I blocked Messenger because I wanted him to be able to view those. Okay, because he needs to see the story, the full story's going to go out, not parts of it. You're not going to judge me off of bits and pieces. You're going to judge me off of full story, okay? Because I'm that type of character. I don't care how you judge me as long as you make the judgment off an entire story and not just bits and pieces that are twisted. Now, what he chose to do later is he's going to go, because now we would all agree if somebody's innocent, they got nothing to hide. If you go in a court of law and you're innocent, you truly believe you're innocent, and you truly are innocent, you have nothing to hide from the courts, right? So if somebody truly believes they're innocent and claims they're the victim, which to be a victim you truly have to be innocent in all categories, that you have nothing to hide. So if you're starting to delete your old actions, you mean somewhere in your mind you clearly believe that you did something wrong. Otherwise, why are you hiding that shit from your fan base and everybody else? Because that seems like somebody who feels guilty. If I'm deleting my shit, it's because I felt guilty. So, I mean, dude, you're deleting. And his grammar on his Facebook was horrible. So, in a psych evaluation, it's somebody who feels bad about their grammar bullies others that have bad grammar to feel better about their situation. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a form of a psychopath right there, but I'm not sure if that's the analytically correct term, so I'm not going to label him that like he's doing. But I've gone over his post and stuff like that. And one of the posts he made later on, after deleting all this shit, is, I don't care about gender and purposely don't reveal it on most social media outlets because good people don't give a crap. Not that it's anyone's business to begin with, but if anyone has a problem with me being who I am, fuck off and don't harass me about it. Well, here's the thing. You said you don't give a care about gender. And that's the reason you don't put it on. But you claim to be a female on my YouTube where I first heard about a gender, okay? But then it turns out when I go to the Facebook that's linked to that YouTube, you're a male. So if you don't care about gender, why the need to try and lie about your gender? Why not be straight up honest about it? If you don't really care about it, why not be honest? And I mean, if you don't put it on pages, don't openly go and lie about it. Just don't put it there. Did you have to claim to be a female when you're not? No. If anything, this is going to piss off a lot of females right here when I psych evaluation this female. This man who has chose to bully somebody instead of straight up admitting to be a male as somebody who claims he doesn't care about gender, chose to try to pretend they be a female, making all females look bad in that type of scenario. Because if I were a person like him who, because I'm a Dragon Ball fan, he automatically said I spoke on behalf of all community and wants nothing to do with the whole Dragon Ball Z community. If I was a person like him, he claimed to be a female, and he's being a bully. Well, does that mean he speaks on behalf of all females and they're all bullies? I mean, if we're to flip the switch, because that's all I'm doing in this scenario, we're flipping the scenario and we're passing the same judgment he passed on someone onto him. So if we were to pass that same judgment in that act, he would be speaking on all behalf of all the females he pretended he was. Okay? So at that point, you probably just pissed off a bunch of females who read this. Because, yeah, I think I'll add that where you pretended to be a female. Because, yeah, dude, not only did you call out a bunch of Dragon Ball Z fans by calling out a whole community in that scenario, you pretended to be a female just dragging their names through the mud at that case, when really you're a man. And, more on that subject, the fact he pretended to be a female to pull that act when really he's a male, that's a form of catfishing, bro. So, that right there. And not only did you do it, not only did you catfish, he did it in a manner where he thought he would get special treatment, which, he did it in a manner where he thought he'd get special treatment. Just because he's female, he thought he'd get special treatment for trash talking. Well, that just brings out a standard of all these women that have fought for women's rights being equal to men. And here, you don't want equal treatment as you pretend to be a female. You don't want equal treatment to a man. No, you want special treatment. So that brings the standards of them wanting equal rights right there as an actual female wanting equal rights to men. That just like brings their standards down, buddy. So it don't make you look too high and mighty when it comes to females' eyes at that point. Now, he goes on to say, because no one to me, you have no power, you can't turn my friends away from me, you can't turn my loved ones, I have a happy life, and for those who want to step up to the plate and knock me down and shit like that, you have a happy life, but you feel the need to go on and bully people online for their grammar. When you have bad grammar yourself, thus you're only trying to make yourself feel better, so your happy life is making others miserable. 2, you feel the need to run a whole community's names through the mud, and no, 2 whole communities at this point, because you ran all of the Dragon Balls and you pretty much ran all the females' names through the mud when you pretended to be a female. And so I guess you did that to make yourself have a happy life, because only miserable people would actually do that. And 3, you tried to hide all your actions that you claim are innocent, because truly you felt guilty about your actions because you believe they truly weren't innocent. Because he literally made his entire his entire Twitter private, deleted all the past posts. Then he went and deleted the one that was on Facebook, where he asked his entire Facebook fan base to go defend him for him so he didn't have to do the bullying himself. Which, for those of you who have played the game Elder Scrolls Online and know the location of Rift and Well, I actually have a person I'd like to bring up. Mr. Lucky Lunch Case, okay? This was a dude that was actively bullying another user. He would always run him out of a free-to-play location. Not a location in Elder Scrolls where you had to buy a specific map with paid currency. No, it was a free-to-play part of the original base game prior to any updates location, known as the Rift, okay? And there was a farming spot everybody would go to farm materials, and they'd sell them and get their currency they need to buy what they want gold-wise. And one day a user was running it in party of 16 plus, running it properly and actively, run it the same way everybody else runs it. And lunch case, the bully comes over. Now, because he was a bully to that person, he didn't have to invite him. But no, he chose to invite him right off the bat. Now, in a raiding community, okay, in a scenario of a game where the bigger the party, the lower the drop rate, the harder you guys have to work to get your rewards and stuff like that, you would all agree that if somebody goes AFK for a long enough time, you'd eventually remove them to increase that drop rate, correct? Now, here's what went down. He comes over, he immediately gets an invite. He joins, and then he goes mid and just sits and logs out.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
And he's offline within that party for up to an hour worth of farming. Now, at that point, the Crown, the dude he usually bullies, decides to make a decision to benefit the entire farming group. And says, I'm going to remove this inactive user. He's been offline an hour, so we can increase the drop rate, make our work a little bit easier. And he adds before removing him, if he comes back online the minute he does, I'll send him a re-invite again. And he removes him. And then he sees like 15 minutes later the dude comes back online, and he sends him an invite. And the dude immediately joins and says, this dude's a shit Crown, come join me, and bails. And starts messaging each person in the group, saying he'll pay them to leave the current group they're in. And I only know that's the message he sent because one of the people in the community was actually a real life for 15 years best friend of that Crown. Okay? That's the only reason they know that was the message is being sent. Plus several of the people that weren't even friends with the Crown but were friends with the bully eventually started messaging that Crown later on, calling that bully out, saying he was an asshole and was going to get what he's coming to. So now the bully's own friends are talking shit about him behind his back. So, pretty much the reason he said the Crown was shit is because he kicked him after an hour being offline, and because he's been kicked from the party, he can't log on after an hour worth of activity, pick up everybody else's work, and profit off their work as an inactive user, which is a dick move. It's leeching, okay? So, I have what happened is that bully got called out, okay? He got called out. It was recorded, the entire gameplay, everything that went down, like this. And the bully went and started claiming victim, claiming that never happened. Now, just to end and squash that shit, okay? The person he bullied, okay, chose to come over. He saw him in the rift one day. The bully saw him in the rift one day. And he walked up to the bully and says, so you like to play bully and then claim victim, and you claim that you never got an apology, he did it for no here's the thing. And the dude goes, I'm sorry that you feel like you're being bullied after bullying somebody. I apologize for making you feel bad. Can we just end this shit right now? Because at this point, it is drama. And the bully goes, I didn't hear you. Did you say something? To where the person he's bullying actually repeats it. So he goes, he starts off with, can you hear me now? And the dude's like, yeah. And he repeats it. And the bully goes, I didn't hear you. Did you say something? So he's just purposely ignoring it. He's hearing it, but he's purposely. And that whole thing was on recording of the apology and uploaded. And then all of a sudden it didn't work out for the bully because now the full story's out. The bully's purposely doing it to be doing it. Just like you chose to bully. Full story gets out. And you go and hide your actions, okay? After the damage has been done, okay? You don't get to go and do the damage to where the damage has been done and think you can just run and play victim, buddy, by hiding all your actions. You chose to target an entire Dragon Ball Z community when you brought their names up in it by calling an entire community out, not one person. You chose to target an entire female gender when you chose to catfish pretend to be a female to get special treatment for bullying somebody as a male. You chose to target an entire group that tries to defend female rights that should be equal when you wanted that special treatment while catfishing to be a female when you're really a male. So at that point, you don't get to play a victim card. And this most likely will be the final video, but the reason I chose to make this video specifically because he deleted all his actions, but you didn't do the one thing I asked you to do. I did ask you to delete all your shit, but there was a second part to that I asked you for this to go away. The second part is you needed to make a post and keep it up for 72 hours pinned to the top of your timeline. And that post didn't need to be an apology to me, buddy. You needed to apologize to your fan base. Okay? And at this point, you might as well apologize to the female community and the Dragon Ball Z community that you chose to target. And the women's rights people that you chose to target. Me, I could give two shits less. But since you say I speak on behalf of a Dragon Ball Z community, I'm not going to defend myself at this point. I'm defending them at this point, okay? When you chose to target all of them instead of one, okay? So, yeah. You didn't do that part. You didn't apologize to your fan base who you brought into this under false pretenses or any of them. That's why this next video had been made, okay? It will be pinned, and just like I put in text to the last video, since he's having people abuse and YouTube, if you're listening to this last part, since he's having people abuse the reporting system on his behalf, okay? And yeah, because he asked his entire fan base to hit a single video on his behalf. So they're not reporting because they disapprove of something made about them. They're reporting because somebody asked them to report on their behalf. Instead of that one person just making a bunch of accounts themselves. No, so it's abuse and manipulation of the report system. So, you chose to do that, buddy. That's another reason. So since that's being done, the PDF is there, and I chose to get lawyers involved at this point, YouTube. So, there is a caption below, because to tamper with criminal evidence, or evidence involved in a lawsuit case, is a criminal offense, just like him deleting his shit, it can be charged against him. He deleted to hide criminal evidence after an open lawsuit had been created where that evidence was being used. Thus, deleting this video, which is being used in that case, to display, to talk about my case, would also be part of that. Because in the video, it shows the criminal evidence and captions below. So you're just deleting that criminal evidence to hide it. So, YouTube, that's for your legal notice. I'm just gonna advise you politely. It's not a threat because, like, I'm not gonna go and report YouTube for doing it. But, like, I have no control over if the courts chose to target the YouTube company. I would hope they don't because, like, I really enjoy YouTube. It's one of my main brands. But at the same time, I can't really tell them not to if that's the legal act they play. So it's just a fair notice for the YouTube company. But as for that, we're going to get a little bit of gameplay in here just for those that are still made it to this point. I want them to have something they can enjoy. This is God mode gameplay, so it's modded. And no, it's not on PC, it is actually on console, so I hope you guys enjoy all those console players that don't get mods and non-modded games. It gives you something new about the title.
Master will be pleased.
And we're actually gonna call it quits right here. Hope you guys enjoyed the content.